Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm State Senator Neil Anderson. I proudly represent the 47th Senate District here in Illinois, which encompasses all or parts of 15 counties, including Bishop Hill and Henry County. Today, we are here to call on the governor to fund necessary repairs to Bishop Hill State Historic Site in Henry County. The site, which is maintained by the Department of Natural Resources, is in desperate need of attention and repairs. Last week, Representative Weaver and I sent a letter to the governor making our request known for the much-needed funding for the Bishop Hill community. For more than 70 years now, the state's citizens have entrusted the state to maintain and preserve the 4 historic buildings in the park at Bishop Hill. But for the last 15 years, deferred maintenance due to lack of capital funds have resulted in severe dilapidation, roof failures, and multiple structural concerns. Bishop Hill is known for its historic Swedish architecture. It is listed as a historic site on our state's Enjoy Illinois website and our state's Illinois Historic Preservation Division website. Both websites that seek to inform and guide tourists to local attractions across our state. As a state, we have a job to maintain our infrastructure, and it's unfortunate that these historical buildings have been allowed to fall in such disarray. The continued neglect of Bishop Hill is unacceptable. We need the governor and the General Assembly to prioritize funding and repair and maintain these incredibly important structures. I would now like to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Representative Travis Weaver.
Thank you, Senator. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm State Representative Travis Weaver, and today we stand at a critical juncture in the preservation of our beloved Bishop Hill, a beacon of historical significance and a cornerstone of our community's heritage. Founded in 1846 by Swedish immigrants seeking freedom, this site embodies resilience, tradition, and cultural richness. Unfortunately, the alarming deterioration of its historic buildings has brought us together, emphasizing an urgent call for action. Our partnership with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources has been instrumental in exploring all possible avenues to address this crisis. However, we've reached a point where the meetings need to stop and the hammers need to start swinging. It's time for renovation and upgrades. Several decades ago, the state decided to take ownership of the Bishop Hill historic properties in order to preserve them. However, since then, they have allowed these buildings to nearly fall into total disrepair. Frankly, Governor Pritzker should be ashamed and embarrassed at his agency's handling of these properties. Illinois legislators and bureaucrats will scream about a lack of funding, but make no mistake, this is 5% about funding and 95% about poor management from the Pritzker administration. It doesn't take much funding to ensure that windows are sealed, roofs are patched, and gutters are working properly. Attention to these small details would have dramatically improved the building's conditions today. Isn't that always true, that leadership is in the details? Fortunately, I have confidence that the recently appointed IDNR director, Natalie Phelps-Finney, is highly competent, and can right the ship. But it must happen faster. We're on the brink of losing the Bishop Hill properties and wiping away nearly 2 centuries of history. The governor has a pool of discretionary funds. We see him use these often for illegal immigration and propping up pet projects. I'm calling on him to immediately release the funds necessary to fix the Bishop Hill properties. Every day that goes by, Bishop Hill loses more of its historical value. This issue doesn't just need awareness. It needs immediate, effective steps to get repairs completed. Without swift action, the chance to save these landmarks evaporates. Fortunately, we're not alone in this struggle. Various groups like those who join us here today are united by a shared reverence for Bishop Hill's legacy, and they stand ready to dedicate their time and their effort. However, our collective will can only take us so far without support and commitment from the governor and the IDNR. The essence of Bishop Hill, its buildings, its stories, and its community are irreplaceable treasures that we have the duty to preserve for future generations. Let today's message serve as a resounding call to action to safeguard and honor the foundation of our community. It's time to do the right thing for Bishop Hill, her people, and her landmarks. Next, I'd like to welcome John Taylor, who's a concerned citizen and a local business owner in Bishop Hill.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, I'm compelled to draw your attention to a matter of the utmost importance and urgency, the preservation of our cherished heritage embodied in the historic properties owned by the state in Bishop Hill, Illinois. This quaint, picturesque village, nestled in the heart of Illinois, holds within its streets and weathered facades a legacy that speaks volumes about our state and country's rich history and cultural heritage. Bishop Hill is not just another forgotten corner on the map. It is an international tourist destination drawing visitors such as the King and Queen from Sweden from afar to come and immerse themselves in the captivating story and living history experience that Bishop Hill offers. Bishop Hill stands as a testament to the resilience, ingenuity, and spirit of community that define the American experience. However, despite its significance, the historic state-owned properties of Bishop Hill are deteriorating before our very eyes. The once vibrant buildings, each with its own story to tell, now stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time, their crumbling foundations, weathered walls, and sagging roofs serving as deeply distressing reminders of the urgent need for action and the ongoing neglect from the state. I'd like to read for you now a recent assessment of the Colony Church put together by Rick Collins, a historical building preservationist and master carpenter. While the church clearly needs paint and siding repair, there is a far more important issue to address. The church is on the precipice of a repair-to-cost financial turning point. The wood drip edge at the top of the foundation needs urgent attention and immediate replacement, as the drip edge has failed and is allowing water to infiltrate the building at an alarming rate. If this work is not completed within a few years, the financial cost of this repair can be expected to multiply tenfold, exponentially increasing with the rate and scope of damage, end quote. We absolutely cannot afford to lose these precious pieces of our heritage. The restoration and maintenance of the historic properties in Bishop Hill are not just a matter of preserving old buildings. It's an investment into our collective identity, a commitment to honoring the sacrifices and achievements of those who came before us. Imagine a future where Bishop Hill stands not as a relic of the past, but as a living, breathing testament to our shared history, a place where visitors can walk in the footsteps of pioneers, learn about Swedish culture, and discover the timeless beauty of our state's heritage. Achieving this vision requires more than just words. It demands action. And I urge Governor Pritzker and the General Assembly to immediately allocate funds necessary to support the restoration and maintenance of the state historic buildings in Bishop Hill. In doing so, we not only honor the legacy of those who have came before us, but pave the way for a brighter, more culturally enriched future for all of Illinois and the surrounding area. The time to act is now, before it's too late. Let us seize this opportunity to preserve our past and safeguard our future. I'd like to end now with a quote from Jonas Olson, a founding colonist of Bishop Hill. It would be of great comfort if we, in our old age, could be spared witnessing the destruction that has recently threatened us. And if our descendants, after we have gone to our fathers, have nobler things to view when looking back on bygone days than a ruined place intended as a dwelling for the people of God. End quote. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to welcome Joella Krause, a descendant of the Bishop Hill Colony.
Thank you, John. Senator Anderson, Representative Weaver. Ladies and gentlemen, today, as descendants of the original colony and founders of Bishop Hill, we are making a call for action by members of the General Assembly and Governor Pritzker to allocate funds in the 2025 budget for the Bishop Hill State Historic Site. The state of Illinois began acquiring Bishop Hill properties in the mid-1950s. At that time, the state was poised to financially maintain the properties when the village could not. For more than 70 years, the state has been the steward for 5 of the 20-plus original properties in Bishop Hill. the 1947 Oxboys Dormitory, the 1848 Colony Church, the 1849 Colony Park, the 1850 Olson Colony Barn, and the 1852 Bjorkland Hotel. Over the years, state financial and preservation commitment has dramatically changed to be non-existent. Lack of dedicated preservation funding, in addition to deferred maintenance for almost 2 decades, has led to progressive decline of all of their properties. Without preservation repairs, the original handcrafted buildings will eventually be lost along with their history. Some of these buildings are in poorer condition than others, and each year that passes without help, they visibly get worse. The pride of locally owned buildings is a glaring contrast to the state-owned buildings and is unmistakable. The revered Colony Church, built in 1848, is in unspeakable shape, deteriorating before our very eyes. The neglect of the church is personal to us as descendants. The church is a symbol of religious freedom that our ancestors sought in a new world, a journey that began for them in 1846 by following leader Erik Janson, requiring them to leave Sweden with only what they could carry, sail thousands of miles across the ocean, and then walk over 150 miles from Chicago to their final destination and utopia of Bishop Hill. The church is indeed a cornerstone building of the original colony. Bishop Hill is in the National Historic Register of Historic Places, in addition to a designated National Historic Landmark. Since the dissolution of the State Preservation Division and the move to Bishop Hill Historic Site to now under IDNR, no material dollars or attention have been allocated to preservation or maintenance of the state-owned properties. For several consecutive years, we've heard Bishop Hill is on a list for funding, but have yet to see any action. We ask that this inaction stop today. Please, we are calling on you, Governor Pritzker, and members of the General Assembly to make funding priority for the Bishop Hill Historic Site in the 2025 budget. As descendants of the original Bishop Hill colonists, we make this call to action to preserve important history and buildings that are integrated in a Swedish microcosm nestled in the Illinois prairie in Henry County. You, as budget stewards, have the ability to stop this neglect. We appreciate the opportunity to be heard today.